everybody, it's Sophie and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies, and do you know what we're going to do now? Review the latest episode of Fargo. It's episode 9, and it's called East West. And basically, the episode was in black and white, and it mainly featured the rabbi / the Irishman / or Duffy as he introduced himself to a group of strangers in a rooming house and his ward. And I don't know if he said his ward's name, but he called the African-American boy his ward. So, and there was a little bit of the African-American gang and a smidgen of Calamita. Basically, the rest of the cast were unknowns and a big fat tornado. I thought the black and white episode, the turning it into black and white, because I've been complaining about the lighting all season, and somebody suggested that they were trying to make it noir, which is black and white detective mystery episodes, and I said, well, it doesn't work. The lighting anyway, the lack thereof in color, but I thought it really did work for this episode. And it was weird because it was shot, I'd say 80% of it was outside, and the lighting, the sky, you could tell it was a sunny day even though it wasn't in color. It's so funny. I mean, it's just natural lighting, which is nice. And I would call this an art episode, meaning there were several shots that were very perfectly set up to be something artistic. And I would say, and another thing is, the rabbi and the little boy, they were not people in the whole season who spoke much. And basically, I think it was because the Irishman was a grown-up now, and he had been traded off by the gangs, of course, the Irish to the Italians. And they didn't say much to stay alive, to survive. They thought they could get killed, or who knows what they thought, but they just kept their mouths shut, so they weren't much of talkers. So if you expected them, we knew we knew they were going to have to show them eventually what would happen to them, where they went. I mean, for them to just drop off the face of the planet is stupid and poor storytelling. So that they, like I said, they were mainly in this episode, but they didn't say a lot. They said a little bit more than usual because, like I said, they weren't big talkers. I mean, you couldn't expect them to be big chatterboxes. That would be totally out of character, and that would be stupid too. So I thought what they had for them was probably what you'd expect, and it just was not much went on. Frankly, there was a lot. It seemed to me it was really an art episode. It's almost like somebody suggested, according to what Marco read, that it was because they had so much of a fight two fights, actually, gunfights last episode, and so they wanted to tone it down for this one. And that could be, that's, I believe that, but it's, they might have caused a problem and made people mad because the content was so sparse. And what else? Oh yeah, the weather and the tornado. Well, I guess one moment they show the branches outside the rooming house they were staying, and it looked like there was snow on the branches, and I thought, okay, is that snow? And then they showed another shot. Well, there's snow all over the ground. I'm like, okay. And then, but I know because of the previews of the episode, they show this tornado. And I'm like, snow and tornadoes don't really go together. And I ought to know, I've lived in in Kansas and Missouri. And I don't know. And here, we even had, in 2019, on Memorial Day, we had 13 tornadoes on Memorial Day, and this is Southwest Ohio. So I've lived in tornado areas my entire life. So the weather thing, I don't know what happened with that. That was weird. And then Marco has something to say about that. And then, and also, I don't want anybody, I'm not going to complain that it's a cliche or something stupid because they had a tornado. Like I said, I came from the area. We had at least one tornado alarm every single year. And even when we were in school, we had to do tornado drills, and we had tornado alarms. We had to go file out into the hallway and put our heads down. So it happens every single year in some part of Kansas and Missouri, which is the same area. So but this was a pretty big tornado. And I guess I'll let Marco go ahead because I don't know what else to say because there really isn't a lot to say. So
okay, I have the talking pillow now.
Weird.
What was that from, Sophie?
It sounds familiar.
Remember that?
I don't even want to know.
Breaking Bad season 1. Because this episode was, well, well, first off, before we get started with the review of this episode, we got to give a quick shout out to a commenter last episode who decided to, I mean, you've got to, okay, I'm not gonna, but, because this commenter, you know, this old woman, she came on our video last week, and she's like, after the second time Marco cut off Sophie, I stopped watching the show. She said that after that nasty man cut off Sophie for the second time, I stopped watching the show, y'all. And guess what her name is? Judith Berkowitz. What are you, related to Son of Sam, David Berkowitz? What are you, Mother of Sam? You come on our channel and tell us how to do our show, you ugly old...
Marco, I don't like that. I really don't. I don't think that's right.
F off! Get off of our channel, you nasty old bitch!
Marco, I don't like that.
Well, what do you think about that, Sophie? Coming on our channel and telling us... Let me tell you something about Sophie. She doesn't do very good talking off the cuff. She doesn't do very good when she writes things out either. And so, and what I mean by that is she rambles on and on without any meaning because she doesn't know what to say. And so every time she does that, I have to interject so that I can add substance and try to get her to add on to that substance. It's called a show. And I am the host of this show. And you are not, Judith Berkowitz.
Okay, Marco. That's enough now.
Well, I just had to get that out of the way, Mother of Sam.
Okay, Marco.
Never coming back on our channel.
I don't think you should do that.
She's probably so old she slept with the guy who inspired Loy Cannon. Chris Rock character. Probably the sister of the eastern side of the boarding house.
She may be closer to your age.
No, I saw the profile picture.
So, okay, that's not right. Personal attacks are not necessary. Please do.
They're necessary when you come on our channel and try to spread some bullshit.
Okay, well, I don't agree, but I think you should just get going.
Okay, now that I've gotten that out of the way, this episode I was really excited for. I thought that this episode was going to be like the best episode of the season. I was really, really excited. I thought, like, you know, the rabbi, we haven't gotten to see a lot of him this season. And so if there's an episode where it's just with him, it's got to be the best episode of the season. I mean, I thought this episode was going to be a masterpiece. Like, even when I saw the preview and I saw that tornado, I thought, you know, that's really cool because there's tornadoes in Kansas. And I thought that's going to be really cool. It's going to be this cool supernatural event. It's going to be really epic. But there just isn't really much to love in this episode. Like, I really wanted to like it, and I gave it as full of a chance as I could give it, but it never really gave me that much to like. I liked, what did I like in this episode? Didn't
you
like
liked that
that.
it was in black and white.
Well, yeah, well, that's long overdue. I mean, I put it in black and white anyway, and so, the fact that they made it in black and white, they're just doing it for this episode. So, that's not really a good thing, because it should have been the whole seasons in black and white. Because, to be honest, if you put it in black and white, it makes the show look really good. And it just showed. Well, okay, I liked the Fargo theme, because they did like a new version that's kind of like, they used different instruments, and it had like a Midwestern type of remix to it. I really liked the theme, and didn't like that, didn't like that, didn't like that, didn't like that. What else did I like?
You like the dog?
It's kind of dumb. No, I didn't like that. I like the boarding house, or whatever. Is it a boarding house or a hotel? Okay.
It's a boarding
Okay.
house. They used to do that a lot in the olden days.
Yeah, I like the boarding house because it reminded me of Bad Times at the El Royale, my favorite movie of 2018. I really like the boarding house idea. I really like the setting. I really like the whole billboard thing with, like, there's this billboard and there's this guy, and he just won't finish the billboard because he's going to lose his job afterwards. And I thought that was really funny and a great progression. It was sort of cool to just watch that progress the whole episode. And then I liked ideas in it, and like stuff that they were trying to go for. Like, there's this part where Satchel, quote unquote, he's sitting in a car, and a racist small town policeman comes over, and to me it was sort of trying to parallel to the scene in season 2 where he gets pulled over as an adult, and then he actually talks himself out of it, like, easily, compared to this where he just is frozen and doesn't know what to do.
I thought it was weird that the cop had his hand on his gun.
Well, it's an agenda. I mean,
I just
it's expected.
Didn't like that as a kid with a dog.
Oh, it's an agenda. It's expected at this point that they would do something like that. That's what they've been doing the whole season. I mean, it would be weird at this point if they didn't have some sort of a police encounter agenda scene, racist police agenda scene somewhere. They have to have that in every movie nowadays that deals with this kind of subject matter. Like, even that really good Green Book movie, which I thought was a pretty good movie, they had to throw that in there at the end. And so, but I like that scene idea because, to me, if you took the agenda out of it, it's really cool that they created this parallel scene where it's like, he's still got a lot of character growth to make, where he's got to become that well-spoken, well-read adult that he is in season 2. But the way that it was executed, I wasn't really a fan of it. I thought it was kind of badly written. I like the rabbi still, but I really didn't like how he was utilized, contrary to Safi, who said that it was brilliant, the way that he didn't speak very much.
I just thought that they wouldn't turn into chatterboxes after being semi-quiet the whole time. In other words, everything he said was very chosen.
He's got to create a new identity. He's got to have a new identity.
He has to learn how to do that, though.
He never learns how to in this episode, though.
Doesn't.
And so, I would have liked to have seen him try to have a new identity at some point, like he does a little bit with the cop, but it's sad. it's just not well written. It's just cheap. It's cheap. It feels like a very just like the writers just were like, who cares anymore? Let's just get this over with and move on to season 5 where it's gonna hopefully be good.
Well, you know what I was wondering at you. Marco told me something right before we started this review about what did you read about the last 2 episodes?
Well, it's not related to our review, but
well, it might be.
It will be when we review those terrible episodes. Because I read that that was a weird laugh. I read that that the last 2 episodes had to be rewritten and then were shot after the pandemic started. And so that means
well, I'm wondering if they were finding out about that while they were making this episode.
I would really love to read the alternate versions that they had already written.
Yeah, I would like to.
Because I predict that the next 2 episodes are going to be. That's how bad they're going to be.
I don't know. I'm trying to think last night and all the scenes they did, but like I can think of the eating scene where everybody's sitting at the table, and then there's another close encounter I won't talk about because so little happened. I'm afraid to give anything away.
Well, it doesn't have anything to do with this review, so let's just finish reviewing this episode.
I think maybe it did.
Because we want to get that done, and then we can talk about that at the end. I also liked. Is there anything else I liked? No, not really. Sorry.
That's too bad.
But it was a huge disappointment, to put it bluntly. Not a lot happened. It was just a fizzle of trash. It was so disappointing. I thought this would be a really intense episode where it's like a back and forth between, I'm just going to call him Calamita because I haven't been able to come up with a good nickname for him because he hasn't really had much of a character, and he's not going to have any character after this episode probably.
No.
So, but, it was really disappointing because I was really excited. I thought this would have been a slam dunk episode, because even in that episode that I had mixed feelings about, that Camp Elegance episode, I thought that last segment was really good, and I gave that last segment of that episode involving the rabbi, I gave that an A+. I mean, I would give it an A+ now too, and so I thought, this has got to be good, but it just wasn't. I would give this episode, and I have to do this because continuity between reviews. Last episode I gave an F-, and I don't regret giving it an F- because it still pisses me off to think about, and I'm trying not to think about it. And so I have to keep it consistent. I can't give this episode a C, which is probably what I would give it, because it wouldn't be consistent with what I gave last week's. So I would also have to give this episode an F-, because it was not better than last week's episode. It was worse, and it was just a huge disappointment from beginning to end. I wanted it to be good, and I waited for it to be good, but it never got good. And for those saying that this episode is good because it's all about character, what character did they have in this episode? What character growth? Really? You're going to say that there was character growth in this episode? Where in the hell did that happen? In like just a little tiny little smidget here and there, like a little piece of dialogue here. Oh, that shows a little character growth. Oh my God, this is the greatest episode of all time. No, this episode was just nothing happened. Nothing happened. What would you grade it, Safi?
I gave it a D for damn it. I don't know. After what Marco said, I feel like it was pared down. They showed some things, and it seems like it was the bare bones minimum of what they could have shown. And I don't know if that had to do with the flow of the story. It was intentional because of what was going to happen. I don't know. But I was kind of disappointed too. But I don't know what they could have done. Well, I guess they could have done a lot more. I'm just not sure what it was.
Oh,
I feel like everything was pared down to the minimum.
Do you want me to go into what they could have done? Because
well, they may have done more, but it seems like they. It's like when you have a piece of meat and you have fat, and I think maybe you just cut off too much, and then you hardly have enough left for the number of people who are going to eat dinner. I don't know. It's just really strange. I got to thinking after he said that about the other 2 episodes coming up, and
but the thing is that even if now you're coming up with excuses for why this episode sucks.
But I just felt empty. After watching it, I felt empty. Because I wish they could have done more with the rabbi. He's like both of our favorite characters.
Well, I prefer the U.S. Marshal, actually.
Okay, well, he was my favorite character. And, their lives, like I said, because they don't say a lot during the entire season, they're like living between a rock and a hard place, and I still would. I don't know if he's going to be gone forever or not. You'll see when you watch the episode, because like I said, I'm really afraid to say anything because hardly anything happened. I mean, it's like they got scissors and they started cutting out things from a dress. They just cut out huge pieces or a blanket, and it looked like, when you put it up, it looked like one of those paper snowflakes you make where you cut out all the things to make these.
Yeah, but those are
edges.
cool. But those are cool.
Well, they didn't do a very good job cutting. They left the bare minimum, and I don't know what that means. I don't know if.
Well.
I wonder what did they leave out?
Well, let's be honest, Safi. Even if you took that pandemic excuse out of it, this episode has no excuse because this episode only involved a minimum amount of characters.
I know.
But what I'm saying is that that's not an excuse then, because this episode never would have had a big cast of characters. It never would have had stuff that would have been dangerous during a pandemic. This episode was destined for greatness. This episode had all the best ingredients for a good episode. You could have had a whole episode where it's a back and forth battle between Calamita, the rabbi, and the kid. And you could have had it be where it's like it's uncertain whether they're in danger or not everywhere they go. And he's following them, and it could, but instead of that, we get this trash episode where Calamita is just sitting at a gas station doing nothing and just waiting for the plot to happen. And then we have to have this contrived bullshit where it's Satchel's birthday and he wants a candy bar or a cupcake, and so that's why.
That was the Irishman's idea. That was his.
Well, I know, but
new development of a character.
Well, he wants something for his birthday, and so
he wants the dog.
Well, and so it's like a contrived thing where it's like, oh, so that's why he's gonna go to the gas station, and then all it was boring. You could have had lots of great dialogue, I like some of the dialogue. I like the thing with that stranger who's like quoting that Dale Carnegie.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I thought that was really good and a nice touch, but it just, God, it could have been really intense. It could have been like a Tarantino type of movie where there's lots of blood at the end. What?
Can you tell them about? Would you tell them about what you heard about one of the characters?
Spoilers.
I have something I want to say about that. I just thought about too.
Spoilers. There's a bandaged character in this episode, and he's got bandages all over his head, and it looks like they're draining something out of him. And
but at the table,
and
he sat at the table. He wasn't bandaged at all, was he?
That wasn't him.
It wasn't?
No.
I thought it was.
No, sorry.
Okay. All right.
The bandaged man, turns out that is the rabbi's father. We checked the IMDb cast list. That is the Irish evil father. The guy who the rabbi was forced to shoot and kill, quote unquote. He's alive. And now he's in this boarding house for some reason.
Well, I don't know, this could be wrong, but the ghost that's been haunting everybody is a bandaged up, it looks like a bandaged up face. And I'm wondering if that's him.
I don't know.
Like he maybe was in a coma.
That'd be really weird.
Well, I don't know, but now that...
Because he's alive.
He looked like it could be the same... What was the person? You think he didn't? He seemed average, like 5'9", 5'8", 5'9", and I don't know. Now that I thought about it, and you mentioned reading that, I'm wondering if it could be.
I have no idea. I can't predict the awful writing on this show anymore.
Okay, well, that's just I wanted you to bring that up. Marco does. Because this is more of what he does. He does all this research, and so he finds out all these extra tidbits.
And I got really upset when watching. I'm not even going to talk about the preview, but you'll know what I mean if you watch the preview too. But I got really upset when I saw also that they had to rewrite the next 2 episodes, because to me, that signals that the next 2 episodes are going to be even worse than ever imagined. And that's really bad, because it's like, it's really disappointing. It's a really bad season this season. And when we get to the season review, there's not going to be any debate or argument. Like, even if we did like some moments, we liked a couple of episodes, we liked some characters, this season was really bad. And it's really too bad. It's a shame. So, what should people do, Safi?
Okay, well, I guess we're done. Oh, wait a minute. I wanted to make one thing. I guess I can. It's kind of a spoiler.
Okay.
But Marco mentioned the billboard, and the billboard, at first when I watched this, I missed a chunk. I don't know what happened. And so I went back and watched it again, and I picked up the chunk. And so there were several scenes where the Irishman stops. He doesn't get out of the car at first, and the billboard has a man, and he's standing in front of it. It looks like they're building a suburb. And he says, the future is, but the guy wasn't finished because he was taking his time, because that was the job he had. He didn't have anything else to go to, and he knew he'd be unemployed. Marco mentioned this. So he says, well, what about the future? He asked about, and then he came back again, and it was up. It said, the future is now. And he stood there, and he says, what does that even mean? And, and the guy said, I'm unemployed. That's my future now. And I just thought it was very symbolic of everything that happened with the little boy, showing him standing there, and his face turns into the grown-up guy, kind of, very subtly. That was one of the art things they did. And I don't know if anybody will be able to see that like me, but I saw that. I would think you wouldn't miss it. And then, of course, the tornado coming and what happens to Calamita and the Irishman. The future is now. And I thought this title of the episode should have been called, instead of that east-west thing, should have been called The Future is Now.
No, it should have been called The Future is ... and then it's revealed that the future is now in the episode.
Oh, that's good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what that's like? Remember that Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, where Rick Moranis does that speech, and then he goes into that stance where he's trying to imitate the icon. He goes, "The future is now," and he's doing this weird stance.
No, I don't remember that.
But yeah, that was one of the things I liked about this episode, as I said before. But other than that, I don't really have anything more to say about it. So
Okay, well, people, I hope the lady who was unhappy, I'll get him back. Don't worry, I do get him back all the time. And
well, I checked
it could be one of my people who's bought something from me. So I hope you.
Judith Berkowitz.
I don't know, maybe.
No, I don't think so.
I've sold a lot of stuff. It's hard for me to remember, but I do tell people I sell to that I do the YouTube channel.
We can see how many minutes you watch of a video. We can see I can see all the analytics.
Oh.
This old hag.
Marco, I don't like that. Please
this
don't do that.
old hag.
Okay, I'm telling you, I don't like that.
Came in, and look who's interrupting who now. This old hag came in here, watched 2 minutes of a 30-minute long video, and then left. 2 minutes.
Well, that's fine.
No, that just shows that she has no room to talk, and that, everything that she says is just bullshit. Because if you didn't like that I was interrupting you, you would say something.
Well, I didn't like it, but the thing is,
you didn't like what when?
I don't like it that Marco interrupts me sometimes, but sometimes I don't. I just like he said, I don't know what to say. I cannot speak up off the cuff. I'm a writer, so I write things out and I read from them. But if it was something really like I've seen before or just real short, I don't have any trouble talking off the cuff too much. But it's still a problem for me. I've never been able to do it.
But this show is a back and forth show. It's not just blah, 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 and then Safi says blah, 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 blah.
In other words, it's not so structured.
Yeah, we're supposed to go back and forth. That's what this show is about. And you would know that if you had watched all of our other videos, all of our other Fargo videos.
Yeah, so anyway, if you like it, check the like button. If you dislike it, check that one too. And subscribe. Why not? We're going to be doing a whole week of, well, probably more than a week, because there's so many things we could watch of Christmas. Yay! And of course, I have to say what my favorite movies and least favorite movies of 2019.
All these list videos.
Yeah, I don't really care for that. Millennials, like I said, have this weird preoccupation with ranking everything.
Well, how would you rank all the episodes of this season?
Oh, I don't want to think about that now. It's, like you said, there are things about the episodes we like and things that we don't. And I think there might have been 1 or 2 episodes that we may have liked the whole thing, and it was just really complete. It was like having a 3-course meal, and you're all satisfied for the night, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, episodes 4 and 5.
But I can't do that now. Mm-mm.
Well, that was just a joke, though.
I know, but I'd have to go back and think about it. And obviously, Marco has already thought about it. So far. And I don't know. I don't watch a lot of TV, so I don't know how this pandemic has affected some of these shows. Like, let's say NCIS. I used to watch that a lot. I haven't watched it in a couple years. And, of course, they said they're coming back, so, or they may have already come back this week, but, so I guess they filmed some episodes post learning about the pandemic, so I don't know how it's affected. I have no idea, so maybe more of you know what it's like than me. Maybe you watch more TV than me. I'm sure you do. I just have too much to do. But we'll see what happens, but don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate it a lot. So, bye, everybody.
Goodbye.